would you fucking fascists quit trying to ban the Diary of Anne Frank? We know what you're up to. You're not fooling anyone. Texas teacher fired for showing Anne Frank graphic novel to 8th graders. Move comes as education laws restricting teaching of race, sexuality, and other topics are being implemented across. Yes, we know. We know they're being implemented. I can't believe this is still going on. I made a short about this months ago.
Oh, hey, boss. We just got in this book about this little girl who was murdered by people that ban books. Yeah, we're gonna ban that book. Oh, okay, well, seems a little extreme, but whatever.
And I'm not even asking for me, because trust me, I'm okay. I'm asking for you, the fascists. Please, just for your own sake, let it go. Oh, Gribbs, it's not the diary, it's the graphic novel. It's got butts in it. Seriously. She goes into detail about genitals. 8th grader, they're 8th graders. They know about genitals. They've had them their whole lives. Do you remember when you were in 8th grade and that one day you woke up and you're like, holy shit, are those genitals? This is ridiculous. Just move on. You'll be happier. The thing is, we know what you're doing. You're not fooling anybody. You think if you could just ban enough books, these ideas will go away. You're wrong. Well, it doesn't matter right or wrong. It's inappropriate for children. You know what's inappropriate? Mass murder. I think what non-Americans who watch my channel might be confused about is this is not a grassroots effort. This is not a bunch of concerned parents worried their little darlings are going to learn about sex from the Diary of Anne Frank. This is a politically astroturfed movement, largely by the Moms for Liberty, because nothing says liberty like banning books. And in the past year or so, it has targeted not just school libraries, but public libraries as well. We've got to get the woke agenda out, because you know that leader of the woke agenda, the 13-year-old girl from 1944, just woke as hell back then, man. She probably had a side mullet. State senator in Missouri torched some cardboard boxes with a flamethrower. Have you seen that? Torched some Listen, man, I was doing that in middle school. What? But you're a grown man. And then people call him out on social media for being a giant, literally flaming douchebag. And he says he won't just burn the boxes, he will also burn the books, the woke pornographic books, if they end up in the state schools. Have you ever seen a movie? Like, have you seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? That documentary should tell you who's on the right side of history when it comes to burning books. Also in Texas, they banned the Bible. The Bible, they like put it up there as this like sacrificial lamb so that they could say, well, hey, we're not coming at this from a Christo-fascist perspective. You know, we're also willing to take out our sacred texts. We'll take that out of the library too, because it's got genitals in it. And the Bible, of course, I mean, it has nothing to do with Jewish people. No one believes you. You're not a Christian. You've never read you can't read. It's about the let's not lose sight of the fact that we're talking about genitals here. And if the Moms for Liberty were really that concerned, why don't they write letters to every toothless redneck driving a Trump truck down the road with the truck nuts hanging off the truck? Excuse me, sir, those are genitals on your truck. But okay, so this is a rant, or this is legit. I'm playing the part here. I mean, this is a rant. But honestly, truly, my sympathy, I don't know about sympathy, but input, I don't know about that either. I'm sorry for you. I really am, because 78 years later, this little Jewish girl is still a thorn in your side. And the poetic justice is that if you hadn't murdered her, no one would have ever read her diary, right? If she had lived, she would have protected her diary as any young woman would. Her father certainly never would have seen it. Her father, who published it and got it out there in the world, never would have seen her diary. But you did kill her. And so we all know what happened. And now, all these years later, you still have to deal with her. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? We all know what you're up to. We all know who funds you. We all know that this is an effort propagated, funded, and organized by elements within the right wing in America that have sympathies that lie. I mean, I don't want to make any accusations here, but even if you ban all the books, right, and your leaders get what they want, and democracy falls, and Vladimir Putin gets to roll over NATO countries, and then he nukes us all to death. I don't exactly know what the end game is that you're supporting with your Moms for Liberty campaign, but even if you get there, right, the thing about Anne Frank is you can't kill her again. She will always be with you. She's going to be in your shadow every time you turn around for the rest of your lives, no matter how many books you ban because they're cartoon drawings of nude statues. Seriously, that's what bothers you? No, it's the little girl in your shadow that you just can't get rid of. This is the Gribbly Spotly Sunday Antisocial Hour. That time on the regular, because it wasn't last week. I took last week. I went fishing. I didn't catch anything, but I did go fishing. And I took last week off. But anyway, this is the time, every so often, when I smoke my pipe and complain about humanity while answering all of its questions. And if you are a piece of humanity with a question for me, leave it in the comments down below with the hashtag AskGribbs. I will answer any question. Stephen Hawking wonders about things that I could answer. And he's dead, so that should tell you how many questions I can answer. And we have quite a few questions this week, but first, it has turned cool here. Summer has broken. I'm so glad. It was a long, hot summer. I didn't have AC in my car for most of the summer. I took a trip to Charleston, South Carolina in the middle of the big heat wave. It was awful, and I still haven't cooled off from that. So I'm glad fall is here. I went fishing with a jacket for the first time this year. Anyway, I'm smoking Foundry. I have switched from Carter Hall to Foundry, which is a delightful English, and I'm quite enjoying it. Still smoking my Missouri Meerschaum Xenon hardwood pipe. Still trying to get it broken in. Every now and then I get a taste of the whatever hardwood it is. It's probably the same stuff they make bowling pins out of. Les Brady says, I'll tell you what smells like puke. Old English 800 malt liquor. Yes, there is a story behind... You know what you've done, Les. Now you have to make a video and tell us the Old English 800 malt liquor story. We don't have Old English 800 on this side of the country. We have King Cobra. I sent Les a text about this and said that I had never tried Old English 800, but I had tried Southern Comfort, which it's kind of that to me tastes like puke. That's the drink that, even though fun fact about your boy, have never actually vomited from drinking. Which I know is a shock to some of you. But I hate to throw up so much that I think I have sort of an internal limit where my body is like, okay, stop drinking. Except for this one night. Now, I didn't throw up. Except for this one night with Brad and 2 bottles of Kraken rum. Other than that, my limit kicks in. That night was an exception, and that story will probably go to my grave. But Les, we want to hear your story about the 800 bottles of English liquor, whatever. The Gentleman Scholar says horror is cathartic. We were talking about horror last time. Inoculation against the random capricious horrors of real life. Also, Killer Bees, he was saying that was his first taste of apocalyptic dread, was knowing that the killer bees were out there and they were coming to the US. Whatever happened to killer bees? Are they still a thing? I'm gonna look this up. The first known Africanized honeybees to enter the US from Mexico occurred in the Rio Grande River Valley near Hidalgo, Texas in October 1990. So that was years after I was swarmed by bees. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't think this is a big problem. I somehow, this is like the murder hornet. Remember the murder hornets in 2020? Everybody was like, holy shit, Australia is on fire. There's a new virus and there's murder hornets. And now we never hear about the murder hornets. We don't care that there's a COVID spike. And like, yeah, Australia was on fire, but so is the rest of the world. Yesterday's apocalypse doesn't even make today's news. That's the way things work. Speaking of fall and Halloween, Grant Reynard 780 asks Gribbs, are you and your buddies gonna do any squirrel hunting this year? Maybe. I don't really have any plans. I've got to renew my fishing license, which would be when I would renew my hunting license. I didn't do it. I didn't get the hunting part last year, or the year before, actually. I don't know, man. That's a lot of hiking with a rifle to not shoot anything. If you don't remember my squirrel hunting videos, I never actually shot a squirrel. It was like videos upon videos, and we never succeeded in shooting any squirrels. User Di4IU6EE10. Di4IU6E10. Di4IU6E. What is you? What? Who? His real name is Rafa, and he asked, "Can there be more?" What does that mean? You got to tell me what that means. Can there be any more ghost stories? Absolutely. Yes. In fact, I will set an intention right now to. There's a couple things I want to re-record from my archives, and I got a good ghost story I want to re-record. So I'm gonna try to get that out by Halloween. Okay, we'll set a goal. Alexander Gennaro, we're talking about photography here. He says, my favorite part of taking pictures was either in public or gatherings, taking pictures of people not knowing the camera is on them. That is called voyeurism, sir. That and sunsets. So he likes taking pictures, like he likes being a creeper, and he likes creeping on the sun. I get it. I get it. No, street photography is what he's talking about, and there's this rich history of it's never been my thing, and the reason is I could never do it as well as the people that really did it well. But yeah, the study of the human condition by taking pictures of people in a public place is absolutely fascinating. Anyway, and then he transitions to an odd, unrelated question. How many times have you fallen out of bed or fell down the stairs that you remember? The remembering is very important. I guess, yeah, because if you really fell, then you wouldn't really remember it. By the way, I'm using an OG Aristocob tamper because I can't find any of my other tampers. It's been a while since I have fallen out of bed or down the stairs. I mean, I was an adult the last time I fell down. It's not like I was a kid. I was coming down the stairs at night with a basket of laundry and they were slippery and I fell down the stairs. Years and years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago. And that sucked. That was not, there's nothing fun about falling down the stairs. My kid falls out of bed like every night. Like we want to get him a bigger bed, but we're also like, do we really want to get him a big? Because like, I mean, is he going to get injured? I don't know. But I don't think I've fallen out of bed since I was a kid. I mean, I remember a couple of times as a kid falling out of bed, usually on trips. We would take a trip and I'd be in a hotel bed and fall out of it for some reason. I guess your body just subconsciously knows, you're not in your own bed and you just yeet yourself out of it. John Goldieri says he and his crew heading to the mall on a rainy day trying to get some Jules Verne at Barnes & Noble. I've never read Jules Verne, if you can believe that. I have watched Back to the Future, and Jules Verne is like Emmett L. Brown's inspiration. That's as much as I know about it. Lars Hermans, who I'm sorry, I always read your name wrong, says today people are searching for money, and we forget. We were talking about success and how we measure success. We forget that we need all kinds of jobs like nurses, bakers, mechanics. Yeah, we do, and we kind of discovered this in COVID when we're like, oh man, like I can work from home, but I really like to go to the store and buy food. And I kind of need those people to show up at work. Now, I'm not willing to pay them extra, but I will call them heroes. I struggle with economic models, and well, not that I have any responsibility or agency in the matter, but I struggle with the kind of economic model that we should have, because any extreme doesn't work. Like it's real easy to say like, oh yeah, these communists, like, oh, they would do really bad in like a communist system. Well, yeah, of course they would. Also though, libertarians would not have a good time in like Somalia. Anytime you get to the extreme of an economic system, no one's having fun. But there's got to be some middle ground where, the guy at the grocery store bagging your groceries actually has incentive to show up and bag your groceries, but at the same time, the guy that owns the grocery store has the incentive to get the money together to run the grocery store. So, like, how do you figure that out? Clearly, our current system has some issues. Do you guys remember the Scholastic Book Fair? Talking about economic model. Okay, I always thought, when I was a kid, I thought the Scholastic Book Fair was a fair where books were sold, and those books were scholastic, like small s, like as an adjective. No, it's a company called Scholastic. My kid went to the book fair with $30. He came home with 2 books. There's a Barnes & Noble right down the street. I asked the librarian, where do these books come from? She said they come from Scholastic. I'm like, no, you're a librarian. You should know how to use a noun. She's like, no, it's the name of the company. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, okay, so you get a cut? She's like, yeah, we get up to 50% of the profits. Like, we turn our elementary school library into a bookseller for a week. We get up to 50% of the profits. I'm like, well, what do you mean up to? They get 50% of the profits if they accept it in Scholastic bucks. What do you owe your soul to the company store? What? Okay, so what do you do with this? Well, we buy more books from Scholastic. What? My childhood, all my favorite books came from the Scholastic Book Fair. I didn't know it was a capitalist nightmare. It's like Bridge to Terabithia, forward by Ayn Rand. Meanwhile, in our county, we have a big problem with school lunch debt. Like, just the phrase, school lunch debt. You know the first rule of civilization? Feed children. My wife tried not to tell me. My kid has an agenda book. The teacher sends the homework and like announcements, they all come home in the agenda book. We had to buy the agenda book. It was $5. We had to buy the homework. My wife tried not to tell me. She didn't say anything. And then the principal sent an email and was like, make sure you bought your agenda book, parents, or your kids won't bring their homework and they'll fail if you don't pay the $5 for the book that transports the homework. What do my taxes pay for? So then Laura says, why do you call your show The Antisocial? Well, if it's not obvious by now, I think it's probably a language thing. Here in the States, a lot of organizations have social hours. So you go to church after the service, there's a social hour. If you go to a big networking event before there's a speaker or whatever, there might be a social hour. And so this is my hour, my weekly hour that I set aside to just let it all out. I'm a creative person and I don't have a lot of outlets, but at the same time, I lost the Muse lottery, right? Like, some people, the Muse visits them and the Muse is like, hey, why don't you paint some flowers with watercolors? And the Muse visits me and is like, why don't you just bitch to people on the internet? And people like it. I have no idea why, but whatever, this is what you want, I will give it to you. But the thing is that you can't be antisocial if you don't care about the social. If you're truly indifferent to something, you're not anti. And so it is true. I think the thing that keeps people coming back is that they can see that I wouldn't be so riled up if I didn't actually care about. I don't know. I might be giving myself too much credit. You can't find anybody. I mean, sociopaths notwithstanding, you can't find anybody that doesn't think that they know how to do it better. They know how to make society better. They could do it right if they were just in charge. And what that all comes down to is something that actually gives me quite a bit of hope, which is that we all have this internal moral. Now I'm giving everyone else too much credit. No, I think it's true, actually. We all have this moral compass. Might be wrong, but we have it. And we all want what we think is best for everyone. And then we get scared that we think that's not going to happen. And spoiler, it's not. And so we're constantly afraid because we know we have no actual agency. And so we get entrenched behind the direction that our moral compass points, rather than respecting everybody else's moral compass, rather than being like, hey, you're a total weirdo, but at least you're like, you're trying to do exactly what I am, which is like advocate for the things that you think are right. And then the sociopaths, which I mentioned a minute ago, they are the ones that exploit that and actually get the power and make the rules. This is, in faith we find depression. And Frank was wrong. People are not good at heart. I've never, like, even as a teenager when I read that, I mean, it was a really powerful, especially the part about the genitals. I was amazed. The assertion that people are good at heart. No, we're really not. People are scared, and most of us spend most of our time trying to protect ourselves from that fear. Which is not. It's not to say that everyone is bad. No, it is. Everyone's bad. All right, sake of argument, let's imagine everyone is actually good because of this moral compass thing. The problem is that urge to be good is so easily leveraged by people who are bad. That's the problem. It's incredibly easy. Even when you're looking at your company, you're like, that way is north. Someone can come along and convince you that to get to north, you really need to go south to get there. Long way around. So that's what makes me antisocial. It's not that people are bad or good. It's that people are stupid. And so the thing to do is to insulate yourself from distractions, from those who would pull you away from what your compass is telling you. And to do that, as we all know, we have to look for things deeper. We have to try to find what's underneath. In fact, you could even say that to do that, you have to keep the ends out for the ties that bind. Thank you for watching. Good stuff coming up. I'll see you next week. I'm gonna tell you, fascists, you may be surprised. People in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose. All you fascists bound to lose.